So I got to play the Resident Evil 2 Remake One-Shot Demo yesterday, and I gotta say, I'm pretty pleased with the outcome. From what I gather from the demo, the game seems like a love letter to old Capcom fans and Resident Evil supporters who have been with the franchise since the early titles to what the Resident Evil franchise has become today. I think what's so great about the way we're getting this Resident Evil 2 remake is how Capcom is kind of recognizing some of the silly tropes in the Resident Evil titles and kind of subverting those tropes into something that's more believable, almost like the Resident Evil remake from the GameCube generation. But this rendition of Resident Evil 2 feels polished and it looks great, and it stands out as a title that is kind of taking note of all the problems it's had in the past. It really takes elements from the original games to Resident Evil 4 to even some of Resident Evil 6. Although the problems that were present in those games are not present here, and they kind of keep it true to the original movement and aiming mechanics that made the stakes feel more extreme in the older games.
It looks like your party has been canceled. What happened?
I mean, it's not like Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil 6 where you could move around really quickly and in some cases dive and jump. It's more direct. It's very rigid like the earlier games, but your character actually feels weighted and heavy, which is a good feeling in survival horror games like this. I mean, I just kind of expected Capcom to throw in the same shit they've been doing with all the other over-the-shoulder Resident Evil titles, and I'm glad that they kind of found a balance between the original and the newer system. And back to what I said about subverting some of the tropes from the early titles, the dialogue has been reworked, and that's definitely a good thing.
Annette was right about everything.
That's why I told you to leave without me, but you wouldn't listen. Now hand it over. Don't make me shoot you.
You can't do that.
But what's funny is how Leon Kennedy now kind of makes heroic quips, and he actually comments while he's in zombie situations. I don't know, I feel like I heard him say, "Oh boy." Despite how he's kind of a cheeseball in this heroic way, I'm really happy that they've kind of stuck with this original context of Leon Kennedy. Because he's kind of more edgy and badass in Resident Evil 4 and definitely kind of weathered in Resident Evil 6. It's interesting to see rookie Kennedy again. That being said, I'm really glad that they've kind of taken notice of other survival horror games. Definitely feeling some Evil Within vibes here. The weapon switch system, and kind of how they've simplified the inventory. I know it's basically the same inventory from the original game, but this time they've streamlined it so you don't have to do inventory management. You have a quick select, and you don't have to spend a lot of time in inventory. But I am glad that they kept the health system from the original games. I feel like that plays true to the survival horror aspect and not really knowing exactly how much health you have left. I feel like that's an important thing with the early Resident Evil titles. And thank God they streamlined the doors. I don't know if this is going to make the whole game itself feel smaller. I thought it would, but in those first hallway scenes, I was actually surprised at how drawn out and big everything felt, even with the added lighting and different environmental debris. But yeah, overall it feels like Capcom is listening to their fan base and delivering a remake that really stays true to the original titles and probably pleases fans. I know I'm excited about it. I feel like they're hinting at extended playtime with the 2 characters and maybe some additional story after the police station. I'm not really sure there. I haven't really read a whole lot into this, but I know people are probably excited about the hunk content, even though it was advertised in an odd way. So we'll just have to see. I think it'll be worth the $60 price tag if the story and bonus content are worth a good amount of time and replayability. We'll just have to see.